What is going on, Nuggets Nation NBA fans? My name is Tom Leuthner. Welcome back to another episode of Nuggets Today presented by Fan Arch. If you're new here, make sure to go ahead and hit that subscribe button as well as that like button. Leave a comment down below if you guys want me to cover anything specifically. A couple things I want to go over after a very nice win rather for the Denver Nuggets. Nice loss for the Warriors. I don't gain this crazy satisfaction from beating a team like the Warriors without Steph Curry playing, especially after game one of the season. I wish that we could have beaten them with Steph there. Obviously, they're missing other players. But a guy like Kuminga was in the starting lineup. I expected to see more from him just because, he was saying that he's an all-star level player and all this stuff. He deserves his extension and whatever. But he didn't play that well. Like I said, I wish that we were able to beat a team with Steph there, but he wasn't playing. Jimmy, Kuminga, Draymond, Pods, and Moody started the game for the Warriors, and we sort of shut them down to begin the game, right? And they ran an interesting lineup within the first half of the game, and that was running their two bigs who they don't touch the court that much, and obviously Al Horford's out as well. But you see Quentin Post and Trace Jackson Davis on the court together, which I thought was a smart game plan. We've seen the double bigs work against Denver, especially with Jokic a couple of years ago with the Timberwolves and Karl-Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert, but they're not the level of those kinds of players. The one thing I will say is that Quentin Post could shoot. I mean, listen, he's not the best shooter in the world. He went 2 for 2 from the three-point line. I actually like his jump shot. He's a backup big that I said that Denver should go out and get. This past offseason before they got Val, who's somebody I'm going to talk about in this episode as well. But they ran the interesting combo, and I get it because they had Post on Jokic, Trace Jackson Davis, and help, which I think is a smart thing to do, especially with a guy like Jokic, and with the offensive starting five outside of Jamal and AG struggling a little bit on the Denver side. So, like I said, I thought it was a weird game plan to go in with, especially with two guys that don't really play. But you even saw on the other end earlier in the game that Quinn Post or Trace Jackson Davis was too big of a body for Aaron Gordon when it came to him getting to the paint and finishing a layup over him. It didn't work out for them in the long run. I mean, like I said, Denver won 129-104. And once you're getting guys like Zeke Naji, Jalen Pickett, and Hunter Tyson in the game, you already know it's a win for Denver. So it was nice to see Denver be able to take this team down, and an interesting rotation there from the Golden State Warriors with something that was a little untraditional from what they usually do with their small ball lineups. But talking about lineups, David Adelman was a little different than what I feel like we've seen this season so far. He was a lot quicker to make substitutions and take action in the first, at least the first half, or the first quarter rather than the first half. But I believe CB and Cam played 7 minutes. I could be mistaken, and he took them out almost immediately. I'm not going to beat the dead horse and continue to talk about it, but Cam struggled. Again, 0 points. Same amount of points as Jalen Pickett, who played 5 minutes, as well as Hunter Tyson, who played 4 minutes. Cam had another terrible game offensively. Right? Defensively, he's doing his thing on the floor, but I'm not going to beat that dead horse. I was pleasantly surprised to see David Adelman take that action and go ahead and sit the people right away earlier in the game. I know I spoke about it way earlier in the season. Now we're 7 games in, and I spoke about it, I think, game 2 or 3, where I thought that Adelman had said in the offseason that this is going to be a year where in the first couple games you're going to see a 10 to 12 man rotation and people are going to earn their minutes. And I said I didn't really see that in anybody. I didn't see the rotation that high up where people were actually trying to earn their minutes. I saw the same 5 guys starting. I saw the same bench guys getting minutes. We see Strother thrown in there once or twice, but that's it. So it was nice to see Adelman, take initiative and take action and really throw the bench in there earlier in the game, because I just think that it's a wake-up call. I said the last episode, it's a wake-up call for a guy like Cam Johnson, who's been struggling, terribly offensively. Same thing with Christian Brown. He hasn't been, the Christian Brown that we knew from last year. And I just think it's a wake-up call that this team is deep enough to throw those guys in. You could be making as much money as you want. If you're not ready to start on this team, I don't think you're going to start on this team. I think that David Adelman was sort of making that clear this game more than any game. And I think that's the right attitude that needs to be had. If you are not ready to play or start and you're struggling, I'm sure he'll take you out and you can figure it out afterwards. That's on you to figure out. If your mind's in the dumps and you're a little, lacking that self-confidence, then gain it. What do you want him to do? He needs to figure out how to win a basketball game. He needs to figure out the rotation that's going to win and that's going to provide a win. And it's funny because if you look in the box score, Cam Johnson finished the game plus 25 on the plus minus, and I think AG, who had 18 points, was only plus 4. So it's funny but it's also easier to look good with Jokic. Like Cam, his defense looks fine. His hustle looks okay, but 1 and 4. I mean, those are numbers from like an Andre Roberson, right? Those are numbers from guys that aren't making $20 million a year. Those are numbers from guys who are probably one of the last players on the bench. You cannot afford to have that, especially if you want to solidify yourself in this starting five. And talking about terrible shooting, the finishing at the rim has been so weird, right? Like Aaron Gordon and Christian Brown have just been finishing at the rim ferociously. Those are two guys who will do anything they can to just dunk on somebody this year, which I think is great because we've needed to see that aggressiveness out of those two guys especially. Peyton Watson's a guy who is so hit or miss when it comes to finishing at the rim. I really want to see so much more from him because I want to see him be this, lengthy, athletic big who can really just come out and dominate and, like I continue to say, be a Derrick Jones Jr. kind of player. But there's just times where it's like he can't touch the rim. There's times where he just can't put the ball in the rim. And, I mean, listen, he finished with 10 points today. But last game he made 0 shots. It's so weird because he's so hit or miss when it comes to finishing aggressively at the rim when the rest of the team I feel like is fine when it comes to that point. So I would like to see Peyton Watson pick that up just because I think he is a good enough player to work in the Denver system. But I also think if he can't pick it up, Denver does look to trade him when it comes late into the deadline, or closer to the deadline. But I hope they don't. I hope that we're rocking with him and rolling out with another year of bringing this team to another, competitive playoff series and hopefully winning a finals and letting him extend for a contract that would be beneficial to him and the team as well. So that's what we got to hope for. But I would also like to see his offensive numbers a little bit higher than what they were this game. And the last person I want to cover is Jonas Valanciunas. And I just think that he's the best big that we've ever seen backing up Jokic. And I know I loved Mason Plumlee when he was here. I loved Boogie when he was here. But the thing was, we got Boogie late, right? Like, Boogie was a good one-year guy, but he couldn't expand the game, right? The one thing that I loved about Jonas Valanciunas today was the fact that he shot 2 for 3 from the three-point line, and teams are leaving him open. I don't know why. Listen, he's not the best shooter in the world, but he took advantage of that. He was wide open at the three-point line. He's like, okay, go ahead, leave me open. I'm going to let it fly. So, and he did just that. So I love to see that from a guy like Jonas. Like I said, I think he's the best backup. He's the best guy that complements Jokic. Jokic is able to finally analyze the game from a bench point of view rather than just being in the game, which I think is massive because you can see him come in the game and he's playing more of a smart role this year and he's just coming in and picking teams apart. And I love that for Nikola Jokic and Jonas Valanciunas. And I'm hoping that this team, like I just said, could get Denver to another finals run. But that is all I got for you guys today, Nuggets Nation. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. I'll catch you guys tomorrow.